So Mike, have you ever seen Flash Gordon? What's your impression here?
The first time I saw Flash Gordon was like 2 hours ago. So, first impressions, I like it. I enjoyed my watch. I will say so.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in like 10 years. And the first time I saw it was with like my best friends in my like childhood best friends, like parents' basement. We were drinking. Like, this makes it sound like I saw it when I was a little kid, but like I was not. I was an adult legally
That's what
drinking.
I was picturing the way you said it.
I know. And my best friend's basement. So he hadn't moved out yet. He had moved his room down to the basement. We just had a bunch of friends watching Flash Gordon on his TV because he said it was the best thing ever. And this is like the kind of friend that he'll say something's the best thing ever, and then it sucks. Or he just explains it so terribly that you think it's a completely different type of thing. Like, I thought that Breaking Bad was a comedy the way he described it to me. So when I started watching Breaking Bad, I was like, homie, what is this? Like, so we were like, okay, yeah, sure, Sean, Flash Gordon. And it was hilarious. And I just didn't know if it was like the combination of watching it with a group of friends, being drunk. But no, I think that, barring a couple of issues that are just time, like things were different, I think, yeah, this is a very solid, campy movie that's like it's very intentional on what it's doing. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just held up pretty well. I mean, you said what, 1980?
1980.
Yeah, this movie's held up incredibly well. I had no idea what the fuck to expect because you suggested this. You were like, yeah, Flash Gordon. I was like, I don't know why that sounds familiar in my head. I'm guaranteed, obviously, I've heard it in passing. I'm sure in other media too, but
yeah,
watching it, I was like, I thought it was going to be super, super like, well, I mean, it kind of is. It's goofy as shit, right?
It is.
But I was expecting like comedically bad goofy, but I was like, I'm into this though. And like, I want the good guys to win. And it's like kind of intense because of the fucking, the main theme, which is, what's it called? Falling Queen by Queen? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, by Queen. Yeah, that's the other thing. The soundtrack for this movie is all by Queen. So
good. So intense. Anytime that like, Falling Queen theme played, I was like, yeah, I'm into this. I'm like turning up the volume and shit. It's so dumb. It's so cheesy, but I love this movie. This was great. I wish I would have watched it fucking hammered.
I know, right? That's what I mean. So it's like, it's already good, but then like being drunk just elevates it. And like being around friends just elevates it. It's not one of those ones, because so many times I watch movies and I'm like, if I had been with a group of friends drunk, I probably would have had an even better time, or I would have had a really good time. This is like, no, this stands up. We're just heightening it. We're just making it bigger and bigger. And it is infamous in a lot of ways, because what you might technically remember it from, have you ever seen Ted?
I have seen Ted, yeah.
So there's a scene where Sam Jones, the guy who plays Flash Gordon, shows up because they're obsessed with the character Flash Gordon, like Ted and Mark Wahlberg's character. And then he like shows up to a party. And like, this is where it kind of gets a little iffy, because I guess Seth MacFarlane, that's his name, right? The guy who makes
Family Guy, yeah.
Family Guy. He said he was inspired by Flash Gordon to like get into making stuff. So like Family Guy is technically because of Flash Gordon. Like, that's why it exists, kind of.
Nice.
But there have been in recent years, obviously, so the main villain, his name is Ming the Merciless, and he's basically just kind of like this, it's all based on like these comic strips from like the 1930s. And he looks like the Fu Manchu. It's kind of the thing. He's like a caricature play on that. So like in recent years, they've had to pull the Disney, and before the movie plays on streaming services, they have to be like, there might be some issues of racial insensitivity with this. Even though Ming the Merciless is played by a Swedish man.
It's played by Max von Sydow.
I know, but I think it's because but in their minds, it's like, yeah, but in those 1930s comics, this would have been a caricature for like
evil
Asian invaders, like evil Asian invaders.
Oh, okay.
So it might be insensitive. So that's the whole issue. And a lot of people are like, well, no, like that's not necessarily what I get from the movie. It's not like he tries to put on like a fake accent or anything.
Something. This isn't like The Last Samurai, Tom Cruise or some shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, sure, put the warning on screen, whatever. But the issue is that in Ted, homie's drunk, and there's the guy who is like, stop having the party, and it's like this like Asian stereotype dude holding a duck, and then Sam Jones is like, Ming, and that's when he yells like death to Ming and goes to tackle this dude in the Ted movie. So it's like clearly Seth MacFarlane got that impression off of the character.
He went all into that. That's his fault. It's Seth's fault. Okay, so clearly,
exactly.
I watched Ted and I enjoyed Ted, but clearly that part I was just like, I don't know who the fuck Flash Gordon is.
Yeah, exactly. And you wouldn't. And it's one of those things that you're just kind of like, what is this man reacting to? And it's like, oh, because Flash Gordon's a character. But I hadn't, like, I think I probably would have watched it like, maybe it probably would have been like right after Ted, maybe a year or something after Ted came out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's like
maybe I had seen it before Ted.
That's like most Seth MacFarlane media, especially Family Guy. Like, if you just don't get the reference, you don't get the reference because he's just going to go all into it.